Welcome back for the second night, the second big night held over. Well, we're by the Rivers of Babylon program. I'm Jimmy Harris. It is a program where we talk about all things Babylon. And last night was the introduction. Tonight, we're going to talk about the beginning of Babylon. And it's always good to go back to the beginning. In the beginning, God. If you get those 4 words right, you won't have any trouble with the rest of it. In the beginning, God. And then everything that comes after that, you'll be okay. Let's look. We're going to look at several things in chapters 11 and 9 and 10 of the book of Genesis. It's the first book of Moses called Genesis. Chapter 11. Well, let's look at this for an overview. And I would like to say thank you to Marionville Methodist Manor. And I'd like to thank them for the programs we did there. We did 3 programs, and they gave us lunch. And then we went to Republic. Good morning, Pastor Susie. We went to, from the Methodist Manor, we went to Republic to the nursing and rehab care and skilled nursing and rehab. And we did 2 programs there. And we're very blessed. And I hope that we were a comfort and a blessing to the others as well. I might say that I have performed at the Baptist home many times, but they never gave me a free meal. But when I went to the Methodist home today, they invited me to eat with the assisted living residents. Pretty cool. They even had a salad bar and dessert, which I skipped because it was time to play. And I figured if I ate any more, I'd be burping while I was singing, I'm thine, O Lord. By the rivers of Babylon. See, even in Babylon, we keep working for the Lord. Let's just look at the beginning. We're going to talk about several things tonight. An overview beginning in chapter 11 of Genesis, verse 1. And the whole earth was of one language. Now, this is not long after the flood, maybe 100 years. If you don't believe in the flood, you have a problem already because you didn't believe in the beginning God. Believe the first 4 words of the Bible. Won't have any trouble with the rest of it. In the beginning God. It's about 100 years after the flood. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar. And they dwelt there. They stopped. They dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. They had brick for stone and slime had they for mortar. If you look at that country, there's not a lot of rocks, big stones, but they had plenty of sand, had plenty of dirt. They had a river, so they could make brick. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. Let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence on the face of all the earth. And they left off to build the city. Therefore the name of it is called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. Babel in the Chaldean tongue means the gate of gods. And that was the purpose of the tower. One of the main purposes was for the religion of Babel. Gate of gods. But in the Hebrew, Babel means confusion. And he confounded their language and confused their work. He confounded them. He confounded them. It reminds me, Pastor Haroon, God bless you. It reminds me of my favorite passage, one of my favorite passages. It gives me peace and sustains me so often. Isaiah chapter 50, verse 7. For the Lord God will help me. Therefore shall I not be confounded. Therefore have I set my face like a flint, and I know that I shall not be ashamed. Babel, gate of gods in Chaldean. Babel in the Hebrew tongue, confusion. Religion began at Babel. Religion will end at Babel. Now my plan for this is to teach the beginning of Babylon and then teach the end of it and then talk about it in between for the weeks and the months that God has allowed, or God may allow me to talk about it. I've been laying heavy on my mind lately. Babylon, because it's all Babylon. Now, let's look here. Let's take it a little bit at a time. The whole earth was one language and one speech. Good morning, Charles. Good evening, Charles. The whole earth was of one language and one speech, one tongue. They understood one another. I believe in the beginning there was only one language because God made Adam an intelligent being and he gave him a way to communicate both with God and with other human beings. And that was through speech and reason. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. They dwelt there. Well, they weren't supposed to dwell there. Let's go back to the end of chapter 8, Genesis, where the flood has receded from the earth and the ark has rested on the mountains of Ararat. Verse 15, chapter 8, Genesis. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou, thy sons, thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee of all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. And Noah went forth, and his sons and his wives and his sons' wives with him, every beast, every creeping thing, every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth, after their kinds, went forth out of the ark. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagine of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. Remember, Colossians, by him all things exist, and through him all things consist. He not only made everything, he is actively keeping everything going, just like a clockwork. Chapter 9, and God blessed Noah and his sons, and he said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. See, they were supposed to go everywhere, but they didn't go. You see, they stayed. They stayed when they got to the plain of Shinar. They weren't overspreading the earth. They weren't replenishing the earth. A big, giant, large number of them stopped in this massive plain between the Euphrates and Tigris rivers in what would later be called the land of Mesopotamia, the land of Hammurabi, the great lawgiver and king and religionist. And he, for the first time, he put into his code which one of the thousands of gods that you were allowed to worship in Babylon, and which ones you weren't, you see. The good gods and the bad gods, according to Hammurabi. Babylon is the beginning of all religion. It will be where religion ends, as you shall see over these next lessons. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, and upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hands they are delivered. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Before the flood, they were vegetarians. God didn't give them meat to eat. The meat was for sacrifice. But there's nothing about eating meat. Originally, Adam and Eve were vegetarians because in order for some animals to eat other animals, then some animals had to die. That was not God's original intention, but now every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all things, but flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require, at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of every man. At the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God made he man. And you be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. That's the death penalty, friends, and God hasn't rescinded it yet. There are a lot of people of my stripe running around saying they're pro-life. I am not pro-life. I am anti-abortion. I don't believe in killing babies in the womb or out. But there's a lot of people that ought to be killed because they have so offended God and man, heaven above and earth beneath, and their sin and their crime is so great that they must be destroyed from off the face of the earth. That's why we had hangings. we would hang people. And back then, you didn't have a lot of bank robbery. You didn't have a lot of murders, because if you did, they hanged you. Well, nowadays, since we don't do that, now I will admit that I'm not in favor of the death penalty today because of the erratic and unequal way that it is prescribed, you see, and carried out. If you're rich and white, you get off. Or if your family's rich enough to hire a lawyer, you get off. You may have to go to jail, but you're not going to go to the death chamber. Very rare. But if you're any shade of brown, your only salvation is in the Lord, because they're going to kill you. And so, because the death penalty in the United States is so erratic, I don't support it. But I'm in favor of the death penalty on general principle, because it's God's design to punish the lawbreaker. And God spake unto Noah and said to his sons with him, saying, Behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, of every beast of the earth with you, for all that every beast that go out of the ark. And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of the flood. Neither shall there be any more flood to destroy the earth. And God said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, and the bow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. I really like this. And the waters shall no more become flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, This is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. Now I'd just like I'm going to take you to Revelation chapter 4, where the church is called up into heaven. This is right after the rapture. We see the church in heaven in John's vision. And after this, verse 1 of chapter 4, John, the apostle, writing when he's about 80-something years old. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show ye the things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. This is God the Father. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, inside like unto an emerald. You see, God didn't need a reminder of the rainbow for the covenant to not destroy the world by flood again. He's let us see into heaven to the throne room so we can see that the rainbow is there, and we remember the covenant that he made with us, and that in the roughly 3,000 years, 2,500 years since 4,500 years since the flood, he's never broken it. He's never gone back on it. Now, this brings up some interesting things. God makes a promise. Then he makes a command. He says to spread out all over the face of the earth and replenish the earth. They don't spread out, they stop. The whole earth was of one language and of one speech, and it came to pass, this is in chapter 11 of Genesis, it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar. And they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime had they for mortar. God didn't tell them to build a tower or build anything. He told them to go and replenish the earth and overspread the earth, to be fruitful and multiply. They said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. God's intention was for them to be scattered abroad across the face of the whole earth, and to have one language and one tongue and be one people. Weird, huh? It's not weird, because it is rebellion against God. It leads to idolatry, and religion begins in Babylon. God didn't tell them to make a tower. God promised he would never again flood the earth. So the first thing they do is they make a tower, so if there's another flood, all the rich people can run to the top of the tower and not get flooded. It's crazy thinking, because even if they didn't believe God, if he sent a flood that would cover the mountain peaks, what was it, 20-something feet, 27 and a half feet above the tallest mountain peak, they figured. Well, if he could do that, he could send one that would cover up whatever tower they built. It's just madness. But they're going to disobey God. Disobedience leads to them beginning religion. They began religion in that tower. False religion. See, rebellion against God is always turned into worship. We're going to reach unto heaven. It was a ziggurat. You know, I've done a lot of research about this. Do you still read your horoscope in the morning paper? Oh, we don't get morning papers anymore. Papers are obsolete. We just hear whatever lies they want to tell on TV. And if you do have a paper, it was written someplace else and just printed up with the name of your town on it. Local news is almost gone, which just kills me, because my uncle was a newspaper man. I believe in an honest newspaper. Been a long time since there's been one. But if you still read your horoscope, you see that started here in the Tower of Babel. It's the Babylonian mystery religion. The beginning of all religions was looking at the stars and the planets to see if they could tell you something. Divination began in Babylon, where you look at the liver of a chicken or at the intestines of a bull or at a bloody, cracked egg of a crow. Reading the tea leaves started at Babylon. Tarot cards started at Babylon. The evidence is overwhelming. It all began there. And they said, Let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad on the face of the earth. God ordered them to be scattered abroad on the face of the earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. The Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. They're not obeying me. I promised them I wouldn't destroy with the flood, but they built a tower to try to escape it. After they built the tower, they are rebelling against me and seeking another god to worship. Babel, in the ancient Chaldean tongue, means gate of gods, plural. Pick one. Pick two. They're on sale. Pick three. It's a blue light special. Oh, wouldn't you like Kmart to come back? You could get a hot dog and a Coke for 99 cents. It was a big hot dog, too. There was many a Friday night, I'd be just so tired from working I couldn't stand it. We'd load up the kids and go to town. We'd always take them out to McDonald's or somewhere to grab burgers on the way home. They had always had a list of stuff to get on payday. You remember how that was when you were young. And Velda would be running up and down one aisle after another, her and sometimes my mother-in-law and the kids in various stages of growth. I'd sneak off while they were doing all that shopping and give me a hot dog and a Coke and stand there by the snack bar and eat that and then go catch up with them somewhere in the store. I'd be starving to death, working my poor little rear end to death, back in the age when we used to have to work. I'm glad I don't have to work anymore. I can't go out with the men and work anymore. My arms are weak. My back is weak. My hands, they don't obey me anymore. But as much as I complain sometimes, I loved going out and working with the men. I wish I could do it again. A man ought to go out and work. You never get rich doing it. But you can live with yourself. You can look at yourself in the mirror. You can sleep at night. Because you didn't steal, and you didn't lie, and you didn't cheat. And you wasn't a wise guy or a smart aleck. You put in your hours and you drew your wages and you went home and they didn't own you. You were your own man. Those days are past. They may be paying you more, but you got to give more too. And this is what they begin to do. They build a tower. They don't believe me. They're rebelling against me. I'll tell you a little bit about rebellion in a minute and the beginning of Babylon. Now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Remember, God said that you're not going to destroy man anymore because you're just going to accept the fact that his imagination is evil from the beginning, all the days of his life, because it's selfish and it is against God. The world, the flesh, and the devil are against God, and they control this world. God says in verse 7, "Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." We'll see how much more building they get done if they can't understand each other. Brother Harris, do you actually believe this happened? I do. The Bible says it happened. I believe God. Remember the first four words of the Bible, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God. You just believe those four words and you can believe all the rest of it. And some of it is pretty incredible and wonderful. If you don't believe it, you'll be very poor of heart. You'll be much less for not believing it. The Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore the name of it is called Babel, the Chaldean tongue. It means gate of gods in the Hebrew tongue. Confusion. See, that's why I know in any serious student of antiquities and the Bible should know that the very word for Babel is the definition of religion. It is the attempt of man to find God. Christianity is the action of God to save man. But not so with the heathen. Gate of God's. It was about religion to these original people. It was about them all along. It was about finding that stairway to heaven. Therefore, the name of it was called Babel, confusion in the Hebrew tongue. Because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of the earth, which was his original intention, for them to overspread the earth and replenish it. But this was a major hiccup, and this is where Babylon began, Babel. This is where the confusion began. This is where the gate of God's opened. And those who remained and those who would come later would go through that gate of God's. And they would worship Marduk. And this has been Murdoch. They worship Rupert Murdoch. No, Marduk and Chemosh and Molech and Baal in the Chaldean tongue, Bel. Babel, gate of gods. Bel in the Chaldean tongue, God. Babel, gate of gods. Babel in the Hebrew, confusion. Now, exactly some more information on how Babylon actually began. Well, did you know it was begun by Noah's great-grandson, a guy named Nimrod? He doesn't have a very good reputation. We think somebody's a dimwit will say, that Nimrod. But this Nimrod, he was quite the character. Verse 6, chapter 10. Noah and his wife and his sons and their wives were on the ark, and they came off the ark. The three sons were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Verse 6 of chapter 10 of Genesis. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush. Ham is Noah's son. Cush is Noah's grandson. And the sons of Cush. Seba, Havilah, Shabbatah, Raamah, Sabbathah, and Raamah. The sons of Raamah, Sheba, and Dedan. And then Cush at the end of his genealogy is Cush, the son of Ham, the son of Noah, begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. Nimrod means rebel, rebellion, against, opposed. Against God, rebellion. Opposed to God, rebel. That's what Nimrod means. And Cush begat Nimrod. That means Nimrod was Noah's great grandson through Ham. Cush begat Nimrod, the rebel. And he began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. And the tablets of the Chaldeans all attest that he was a hunter of men. He was a slave trader. Babylon, Mystery Babylon at the end, will also be a hunter of the souls of men. He was not just a slave trader, but he was trying to. And of course, there's a lot of money to be made in captives. You could capture people and sell them. Slavery's always been a very lucrative business. It still goes on today. It didn't end in 1865. It goes on throughout Africa and the Middle East as we speak. And I'm talking about classic chattel slavery, where you treat people like animals. That's what Nimrod was. He was a mighty one in the earth, a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is even said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord, the mighty man killer, the mighty man stealer before the Lord. So he would not only capture people to sell as captives, he captured their souls and set them on the path to rebelling against God. Because, see, he's the one that built Babel. Verse 10, chapter 10 of Genesis. And the beginning of whose Nimrod's kingdom. And the beginning of Nimrod's kingdom was Babel and Erech and Akkad, Calneh in the land of Shinar. And then from those works that he established, looky here, we won't do this today, but we'll talk about it much later. Matter of fact, we'll be talking about it some on the podcast tomorrow night at the Ozark Full Gospel Church, the Ozark Gospel Podcast tomorrow night. Pastor James and I will be hosting our special guest, Dr. Danny Decker, who is the pastor of the Victory Baptist Church, where Velda and I are members. You might suspect I'm a member of the Full Gospel Church as much, but I just work a lot with Pastor James and with some of the people in that church and with Pastor Josh Akins. We do a lot of ministry work together. But we have different duties on Sunday these days. Maybe it'll be different someday. We just don't know. So we'll be talking some about this next verse 11 in Genesis. It says, out of that land, what land? The land, the land of Babel that Nimrod built. Out of that land went forth Ashur, the father of the Assyrians, the Assyrian Empire. And he builded Nineveh during Jonah's day, the capital of the great Assyrian Empire, which was also in that land of Mesopotamia between the Euphrates and the Tigris rivers, that great, they call it the Fertile Crescent, where civilization likely began. Of course, they say it began in Africa because they want to deny everything in the Bible. But I believe that society began and will end in the Fertile Crescent, because it all started at Babylon. It's going to end at Babylon. And that is man's rule, man's way upon the earth began at Babylon, and it will end at Babylon. Out of that land, in verse 11, went forth Ashur, the father of the Assyrians, and he builded Nineveh, which became the capital of the great Assyrian Empire, who in 732 BC would take captive the northern kingdom of Israel, whose capital was Samaria, that same Assyria. Nimrod was a hunter of men. Here's a down payment. I'll just tell you why I frame it in a beginning and end, because there is a beginning and end. Alas, Babylon, that great city. Alas, Babylon. I talk about all the riches and the merchandise of Babylon. It says that this is what the world will lose at the fall of Babylon. Alas, Babylon, that great city, is fallen. It's fallen. For in 1 hour is thy judgment come. I read you the beginning, and here's a down payment on the end of Babylon to show you the parallels. Verse 11, and the merchants of the earth, chapter 18 of Revelation. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her. And no man buyeth their merchandise any more. Oh, no customers. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones, of pearls and fine linen, and purple and silk and scarlet, and all thyine wood, in all manner of vessels of ivory, and all manner of vessels of precious wood, and of brass, and iron, and marble, and cinnamon, and odors, and ointments, and frankincense, and wine, and oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and beast, and sheep, and horses, and chariots, and slaves, and the souls of men. Nimrod was a great and mighty hunter in the world, in the earth, and he hunted men. In the end, the city he created, Babylon, will be hunting and enslaving men and their souls. One more time. Slaves and the souls of men. It's like Nimrod did. Verse 14, chapter 18, Revelation, and the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee. And all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee. And thou shalt find them no more at all. There's going to come a time God disbanded Babylon, and they continued to rebel against him and continued to go to the gate of gods. One day it'll culminate in a beast that rules the whole world. Mystery, Babylon the Great. And the rebellion will end in Babylon. Father, I ask that you bless everyone who hears this message. It's hard words, but we're drowning in the rivers of Babylon and we don't even know it. We're lost and we don't know where to go. Lord, we live in a time of declension and despair where even the saved in Christ, the saved are confounded and confused because of the things that are coming upon the earth. You are not the author of confusion. Babylon is. You are not the author of confusion. The devil is, in the world, and the flesh. And the likes of Nimrod, who steals men and makes them slaves and then steals their souls for Satan. God, make yourself known. Let everybody know that there is a God here in Christian County, and that you're everywhere else too. Give us hope, Father. You see, my only hope is the blessed hope. I have no hope in this world. But I love people in the world. I don't want them to go to hell. And I don't want to wind up in the world of Babylon during the Great Tribulation either. I want them to go to heaven with me at the rapture. men, women, kids, lead holy, separated lives, lives separated from the world. Don't participate. And become soul winners. Beg and plead with tears. Convince the gainsayers to come to Christ while there is yet time. God bless you. We'll have more tomorrow night.